It's not getting away from me this time.
I was just rewatching Avatar The Last Airbender for the 10th time when I realized that everything we're told about this world comes from an argument between siblings. Let's talk about it. Well, almost everything. If not, then it was told to us via an argument between two other characters. So in this video, I'm going to do something where I play parts of a scene while we unravel the layers as we go along. But first, I'm going to jump the gun a little bit so that we don't have to completely start from the start. Let's start by talking about Katara versus Sokka.
Watch and learn, Katara. This is how you catch a fish.
So Sokka is a guy who has struggled, especially at fishing, and will come to see at multiple things in his life. But he's very resilient and very daring. How do we know this? Well, his very first line is this.
It's not getting away from me this time.
It's a small thing, but think about how it doesn't feel so weird when one episode later we see this boy try to take on an entire Fire Nation ship. So what else do we know about Sokka? Well, apparently he also wants to be looked up to some extent. Perhaps he fancies himself a mentor or teacher, especially to his younger sister.
Watch and learn, Katara. This is how you catch a fish.
But he can get distracted with his own efforts. So distracted actually that he misses his own sister doing magic with water and getting them the fish that he wants so badly.
Katara, you're gonna scare it away.
Katara, on the other hand, has eyes filled with wonder as she tests out her power and then seeks validation from her older brother.
Sokka, look!
We also get a sense of how much Sokka likes food.
I can already smell it cooking.
There's so much told to us in this scene, but we don't really feel it at exposition because it's inserted into an argument. There's a bit of conflict surrounding it. And I found that it's very fascinating how this first episode does this so well, and we've only really touched the character aspect of exposition, because the next thing we get in this scene is world building. For everyone asking themselves what the heck did that girl just do, we get
It's not magic, it's water bending. And it's
Yeah, an ancient art unique to our culture, blah, blah, blah.
wow, there's so much information here. Ancient tradition, not magic, passed down through generations, something that could be very boringly delivered in a voiceover narration not done by Morgan Freeman or Whoopi Goldberg. Instead, they deliver all that information to us through Sokka's irritating tone, which wraps into his character so seamlessly and builds the tension in this scene as Sokka gets more annoying and we can feel the full-scale argument coming.
Leave it to a girl to screw things up.
you are the most sexist, immature.
But not yet. So let's also set up that some people have powers in this world and some others don't.
Look, I'm just saying that if I had weird powers, I'd keep my weirdness to myself.
At the same time, we're setting up Sokka and a lot of non-benders' jealousy of benders, something that Sokka will struggle with basically till the end of this series, and this world will struggle with even after the current avatar is gone. Okay, but hang on, would Sokka really just do that? Is he really that humble? Katara definitely doesn't see him that way.
You're calling me weird? I'm not the one who makes muscles at myself every time I see my reflection in the water.
Now note that they actually have him comically doing the exact thing she's calling him out for. It's an interesting choice and works because Avatar is a comedy cartoon, and so they can go for gags like this very easily. But it also works because while they did not have to do that, they did it either way, because it needed to be shown that Katara wasn't just judging her brother. This is actually an insight into his character. And Avatar does this a lot, with one character saying something about another character and then actually confirming or denying it to us through their actions.
I sense he's filled with much wisdom.
See? Now it's honest that like that.
Another thing that these things do is that they try to immediately create layers in the characters and the world building, etc. What layers? Well, what I can identify so far is what, who, and how. What being something happening in the scene usually, and also setting up exactly what we're doing in the story currently. Who being who is doing it, not just on the surface level, but also sprinkling in their character, their mentality, their personal ideas, desires, and goals. And how being usually for the strange stuff, because this is sci-fi / fantasy, and you need to explain stuff like power levels and the magic systems so that the viewers don't get lost. And who better to show us how layers are written in Avatar than the king of complexity himself, Prince Zuko. By the way, sorry to interrupt the video, but if you would like to support this episode, you would like to support the videos on this channel by leaving a donation, there should be a donation button right below the video, but if there isn't, go ahead and click the link in the description to our Buy Me a Coffee account. You can either become a channel member there or you can leave a donation. Thank you very much. So immediately after Aang is freed, we see the light beam into the sky. Also, do you realize that Avatar starts with a light beam and ends with a light beam? I wonder what that means. Anyway, immediately after that, we cut over to the scary looking black iron ship surrounded by a sea of calm in the colors of white and blue, accompanied with this anxiety inducing score. We cut to this strange looking guy with a huge scar on his face. Could he be the bad guy? Who knows? And then he says,
Finally,
Yep, he's definitely the bad guy. What does he want though?
Uncle, do you realize what this means?
Now, we in the audience really want to know, but you can't just tell us. This isn't Dora the Explorer, thank goodness. With exposition, and this might sound weird, but you almost have to seduce the audience and understand that we are playing hard to get. So our stand-in, much like the friction between Sokka and Katara, is the uncle that is bored and, as we'll find out later, worried and slightly disappointed with what his nephew is about to say. They keep the conflict between characters constant so that they can keep telling us things about the world.
I won't get to finish my game
Without reducing the level of entertainment. But why is Zuko so worked up?
It means my search. It's about to come to an end.
Fair enough.
That light came from an incredibly powerful source. It has to be him.
And then here we have a villain literally setting up the hero. So now we know what Zuko wants. Let's add another level of complexity. What is Zuko like? Is he a mustache twirling villain?
Please sit. Why don't you enjoy a cup of calming jasmine tea?
I don't need any calming tea. I need to capture the Avatar.
Wow. I mean, it's the small things. Once again, it's the tone, the inflection. You realize immediately, yeah, he's patient and determined, sure, but he's not so patient. He's no mustache twirler. In fact, he's more similar to an angsty teen of the spoiled rich kid variety. And he's probably also quite powerful in a fiery way from the way he just lashes out, which is all true in a way. And then again, we get a further explanation of what he wants.
I need to capture the Avatar.
How far into the story would you guess we are? We are just 6 minutes into the entire episode. Let me outline what we know. We know who quite a few of the main characters are, the protagonist and the villain. We know what they want. We know quite a bit of their personalities and a bit of how the world works, and it just keeps going. We don't even feel really alien to this world. We're just looking for the next story, the next thing that's going to tell us. In the same episode, and in a couple of minutes, we'll learn about Katara's mom and the state of the water tribe and the state of the world and the goal of the entire season through her talking with Aang. We'll learn about Zuko's lack of preparedness and his complexities and his complexes, and we'll learn about Aang. And you'll notice that I didn't really talk about Aang because, quite frankly, I think everyone has talked about Aang, but also he's very on the nose. We know he's an airhead from the clearly out of pocket things he says and does.
Will you go penguin sledding with me?
From the first scene, and we get a sense of how out of touch he is even before Katara uncovers for him how long he's actually been gone
How long
for.
were you in that iceberg? I think it was more like 100 years.
And Katara and Iroh as well. We get a sense of Katara's motherly, caring and concerned nature from how she insists on freeing Aang and how she holds him once he's out. It's very interesting actually, because from Katara's whole opening you get the strong healer character vibes, and she certainly does become that. They don't rob her of that. She is literally the healer that saves the world. It's a core character trait and is beautifully poetic, but she is also, and mostly throughout the series, one of the best fighters on the team. She trains Aang in waterbending and easily solos half the team any day. Argue with your keyboard, Katara is the GOAT. She is so good that they didn't need Morgan Freeman to do the opening narration. Think about that. Yeah, no, but I think I was just shocked with Sokka and Zuko, especially how much we are really given in terms of the layers of these two characters so early on. People usually point to season 3 with Sokka or parts of season 2, and with Zuko they point to Zuko alone and then some parts in season 3 again, but it's all here. It's all from the first scenes. 6 minutes in and we already see the building blocks for these characters. They did not skimp on that at all.